Girls and boys and assembled company, welcome to the literal and physical World Storytelling Cafe in Marrakesh, where we have just last week had the most fantastic, the most amazing, the most mind-blowing festival I've ever been involved in. There was some people there that I recognise. I think there was Norma. Hello, Louis. I knew you were here in spirit. And so I'm going to do a few. I'm going to be hello, Paladina. And so I'm going to be. Hi, Carly. How are you? So I'm going to do a few stories. I might start with. I'm very tired. I've been on the road for weeks. So three weeks I've been in Marrakesh. I must have walked 1,000 miles. And so I'm going to tell stories I'm really familiar with. And I shall tell a story I told downstairs last night. It's from Scotland. I didn't tell this one last night, actually, downstairs. I told it somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. It's from Scotland. And the heroine is a stepsister, which is very unusual. So anyway, it's from way back in time, when my hair was dark and my beard was ginger and all my teeth was me own. And there was a king. Isn't there always a king? And doesn't he always have a beautiful daughter or 3 sons? One of the two. Well, he happened to have a beautiful daughter, a beautiful princess, but he had no queen. The queen had passed away some time before. And being a king, if he wanted a new queen, he just popped out and he got one. He popped out and he got himself a new queen. And that queen had a daughter, exactly the same age as the princess. And the daughter's name was Kate. And Kate and the princess became great friends. But her mother, the new queen, was one of those parents who wanted her daughter to be any better than everyone else. And anyone out there who's been a teacher will know these people. They come into the classroom, they come in on Parents' Day, and they say, well, my daughter shouldn't be in this class. She should be in one above. She shouldn't be mixed with these. But anyway, she was that kind of person. And he thought, well, everyone in the city thinks the princess is more beautiful than my daughter, Kate. What can I do? I'll go up to the top of the hill and I'll meet the hen wife. The wise woman. She will have a solution. And so she knocked on the door of the hen wife's door, and the hen wife said, yes, what do you want? And she didn't think much of royalty. And the queen said, well, everyone in the city thinks the princess is more beautiful than my daughter Kate. Is there anything you can do about it? And the hen wife said, yes, I think I can. Tomorrow morning, send her up 6 eggs for the king's breakfast. We'll make sure she has nothing to eat before she comes. Well, the princess quite liked to walk before breakfast. And she got up early in the morning. She's walking through the kitchen. And she smelled the maid spreading butter and jam on fresh toast. And you know, if you're not hungry, eat, but you smell someone else's food. Terry, I can almost smell the food you're eating. And it's okay, don't be embarrassed. It kind of makes you hungry. And in fact, walking through the streets of Marrakesh, there's always food smells. And it always makes my mouth water. And if I didn't walk so far, I'm sure my waist would go up 10 inches. She said, and it was like that with the princess. She said, do you mind giving me a piece of toast? And of course, the maid cut off a piece of toast, and the princess walked out through the rose garden, through the vegetable garden where the gardener was collecting peas. Of course, she wiped that, being princess, she wiped that little bit of jam off the corner of her mouth. And she walked up the hill, knock, knock, knock on the henwife's door. Yes, girl, what do you want? 6 eggs for the king's breakfast. Okay, go to the jar and table, unscrew the lid, lift the lid, take out the eggs. She went to the jar and table, unscrewed the lid, lifted the lid, took out the eggs. Nothing happened. Tell the queen, she knew she'd had something to eat. Tell the queen to make sure the pantry, the food cupboard door is locked. Or when the queen heard, she knew she'd had something to eat. So the next day, she saw her through the kitchen and into the rose garden. The princess carried on into the vegetable garden where the gardener's boy was collecting peas. Well, when I was just a little bit younger than Louis, my mum used to give me a brown paper bag full of peas in pods and a colander and a saucepan. I was supposed to break open the pods, put the peas in the saucepan, the shells in the colander for the compost, and the peas to cook. But of course, I broke open the pods, I put 4 in my mouth, 1 in the saucepan, 4 in my mouth, 1 in the saucepan, 4 in. So when it was time to cook the peas, there was about 5 peas to cook, and I had stomachache. And it was like that with the princess. She asked you to have a handful of peas. She's walking up the hill, she's breaking up the peas, she's putting the peas in her mouth, she's throwing the shells over her shoulder. It's okay, no party credit. And she's got to knock, knock, knock on their wife's door. Yes, girl, what do you want? 6 eggs for the king's breakfast. Very well, go to the jar and table, unscrew the lid, lift the lid, take out the eggs. She went to the jar and table, unscrewed the lid, lifted the eggs, lifted the lid, took out the eggs. Nothing happened. Tell the queen to make sure the pantry door is locked. Well, when the queen heard, she pretended not to be angry, but next day she saw her through the kitchen, through the rose garden, through the vegetable garden where the gardener's boy was collecting peas, and half up hill. So by the time she got to henwife's door, she had nothing to eat at all. Knock, knock, knock. Yes, girl, what do you want? 6 eggs for the king's breakfast. She went to table. She unscrewed the lid, lifted the lid, and as she lifted the lid, her head jumped off of her shoulders and onto the jar. A sheep's head jumped out of the jar and onto her shoulders. Ah! I got a sheep's head on my shoulders. Well, you'd be embarrassed, wouldn't you? And so she went, she put a shawl up around her head. She hid behind the hedge. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Kate began to wonder where her best friend was. And she looked behind this hedge, she wasn't there. She looked behind that hedge, she wasn't there. She looked, Kate, I got a sheep's head on my shoulders. Well, Kate was the kind of friend you want in a crisis. Nothing worried. Well, if you've got a sheep's head, well, we better find a way to break the spell. And they started off on a journey. And they walked for a long way till their feet were sore and their throat were dry. And they came to a great castle. They knocked on the front door of the castle. It creaked and it squeaked as it opened. And there stood an old servant. Yes, girl, can I do something for you? Well, have you somewhere for me and my sister to stay the night? She's not very well. Well, as it happens, upstairs is an ill prince. And if you look after him tonight, you can stay. Thank you very much, said Kate. They went upstairs, and there's the prince asleep one side, there's the princess asleep the other, sheep's head on her shoulders. But at midnight, the prince got up and he walked around the room. Kate followed down the stairs. Kate followed into the stable. Kate followed. Prince got on a horse. Kate got on behind him. He rode and he rode till he came to the green hill. And on the way, so they were going through a forest, and Katie's taking hazelnuts from this tree and hazelnuts from that tree and putting them in her apron. And when they come to the green hill, the prince shouts, open up, for it is a prince and his horse. And they rode inside. The green hill opened and they rode inside. And Kate, realizing she's in the land of fairies, hides in the shadows. And 2 dancers passed by. She hears them talking. If only Kate knew. If she could get the stick off the baby that the baby in the corner is playing with and touch her sister on the head 2 times with it, her sister would have her own head back. Well, naturally, if you take something from a baby, it cries and it cries and it cries. So Kate put her hands in her apron and pulled out a handful of hazelnuts and rolled them across the floor. The baby dropped the stick. Kate ran across, got the stick, put it in her apron. When it was time to go, they rode back through the forest. The horses put back in the stable. They go back up the stairs. Prince walks around the room, gets back into bed. Kate gets the stick and touches her sister on the head 2 times. And would you believe it? Her sister had her own head back. Well, the next day, the king of that castle came up and he was with the court doctor. And that doctor was so miserable, he shouldn't have been allowed to treat children. Well, how's my boy today, said the king. Well, he's no better, said the doctor. Well, that's as maybe, said the king. But I'm very grateful for looking after him. What's your name? Well, at that moment, Kate had a whole mouthful of hazelnuts. Kate, your majesty, she said, spraying nuts across the whole room. Kate, crack a nuts, more like it, said the doctor. I don't really care, said the king, but, I'm so good. Would you look after my boy one more night? And, of course, the girls agreed. So that night, there was the princess asleep one side, her own head on this time. And there was the prince asleep on the other side. No, fast asleep. But at midnight, he got up and he walked around the room. Kate followed down the stairs. Kate followed. Come in. Excuse me, we're having some live stuff going on here. Come in, I'm broadcasting. Please sit down. We are in the middle of a story here. Please sit down. Sit down. Thank you. Hello. Lovely to meet you. Thank you. Hello. Oh, that's me. Yeah. Okay. I'm having messages passed to me here. That's the advantage of being live. We can stop and start. Where was I? Kate. So they go out. They're going through the forest. Kate is taking hazelnuts from this tree and hazelnuts from that tree and putting them in her apron. And I'm just going to move this round so you can see my audience a little bit. Then I'm going to move it back. There we go. And when they get to the hill, they ride and they ride to become the green hill, and the prince shouts, open up for the prince and his horse. And the green hill opens and they ride inside. And once more, she realizes she's in the land of fairies, and she hides in the shadows, and 2 dancers pass by and she hears them talking. If only Kate knew. If she could get the dead bird off the baby in the corner is playing with, and get the prince to have 3 mouthfuls of it, the prince would be totally cured. Well, it's one thing getting the stick off a baby, but a dead bird is something else. So she took off 2 handfuls of nuts and rolled them across the floor, and the baby dropped the bird, went after the nuts. Kate ran across, grabbed the bird, stuck in her apron. When it was time to go, they rode back through the forest. The horses put back in the stable. They go back up the stairs. And the prince walks round and gets back into bed. Kate gets the bird, puts it on the end of a stick, and starts cooking it on the fire. She took the feathers off first. Well, the smell of cooking went under the prince's nose, and the prince was one of those boys that didn't have to be awake to be hungry. And he just put his hand out, broke off 1 piece of bird, went in his mouth, went out again, 2nd piece of bird in his mouth, went out again. This time she was really fed up. She took the whole bird, put the whole bird in his hand. He put the whole bird in his mouth. He spat the bones out onto the floor. But by this time, he had his 3 mouthfuls, and he was totally cured. And he was bouncing off the floor, and he was bouncing off the ceiling, and he was bouncing off the bed, and he was bouncing off the walls. And the old king came running up to see what all the noise was about. And he was so pleased to see his son was cured. He offered Kate, his son's hand in marriage. And he offered the princess, his son's younger sister, hand in marriage. There was a great wedding, and there was massive sweet. And there was even more to drink. Of course, had you been there, each and every one of you, whether you're in Zoomland, in Canada, Despinas, in Greece, I don't know where Carly is. I never know where Carly is. You never know, Bali or somewhere. And of course, our good selves here. You would have been invited. Well, Ben, story ends. Now, that was the first story. So, yeah, you haven't heard the whole of it. Well, I'll do a short story now. Well, I think it's a short story, but you can never tell with storytellers. They promise a short story and it goes on for hours. But this is a story from India. And there is a merchant, a man who buys and sells things. And he's leading an ox down the road. And on the back of the ox is a huge sack of peas. I like peas in stories. They seem to pop up. They're a bit nearly as often as chickens in my stories. But the ox is rocking from one side to another. It's a very rough ride. The sack of peas falls on. And he's trying to pick it up. It's just too heavy. So he's looking down the road. He said, he's looking for some help. And he sees a mouse swine coming down the road. So, excuse me, mouse, can you help me on the back of this ox with this sack of peas? Well, the mouse thought there was nothing strange about a talking merchant. So between them, they got that sack of peas on the back of the ox. And the merchant was so pleased he gave him 1 pea. And one had fallen out the road, so he had 2 peas. The mouse didn't trust the merchant in the first place, so he'd already taken 1. So he had 3 peas. And he went home and he planted them in front of his hole. He said, look, unless there's 3 fine green shoots by the morning, I'll cut you up and feed you to the ox. And he'd be sure the next morning when he woke up, there were 3 fine green shoots. He said, look, unless there's 3 fine flowers, I'll cut you up and I'll feed you to the ox. And he'd be sure the next morning when he woke up, there were 3 fine flowers. He said, look, unless there's 3 fine fat pods full of fat peas by the morning, I'll cut you up and I'll feed you to the ox. When you saw the next morning when he woke up, there were 3 fine fat pods full of fat peas, and he ate and he ate and he ate. He got fatter and fatter and fatter. Now, if you were a mouse and you had a bit of flab on you, everyone would think you were really good looking. I'm thinking of changing species. And so he's walking down the road and he's whacking his flab from one side to the other, ba-doing, 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 ba-doing. Down the road came another mouse. Said, whoa, how come you got so big? He said, come on with me, I'll show you. And they ate, and she ran down the hole. He tried to run down behind her. He got stuck halfway down. So he went to the carpenter, a man who works with wood. He said, carpenter, carpenter, cut me down to size so I can get down my hole. And the carpenter said, do you mind? I've got to make new furniture for the World Storytelling Cafe in Marrakesh by tomorrow morning. I haven't got time to deal with the mouse. Go away. And so he went to the king. He said, King, King, tell carpenter to cut me that size so I can get down my hole. You can join me if you like. And the king said, I've got a whole country to look after here. Haven't got time to deal with a mouse. Go away. So he went to the queen. He said, Queen, Queen, lead King. King won't talk up to the cut me down side so I can get down my hole. Hole. There's only 2 words. You had a 50% chance of getting it right. It's okay. Don't worry. That's okay.
First one is away.
Yeah, so I can get down my hole. And then the Queen said, I'm not going to leave the king for a mouse. Do you mind? Go away. You can give me some help if you want. And so he went to the snake. He went, snake, snake, bite, queen, queen won't leave, king, king won't talk up the cup downside so I can get down my perfect hole. And the snake said, look, it's the first hot day for months. And if you're listening in the UK, you'll know what I mean. I just want to lay here basking in the sun. Do you mind? Go away. So he went to the stick. He went stick, stick, beat, snake, snake won't bite, queen, queen won't lead, king, king won't talk up to cut me down the side so I can get down my. And the stick said, look, I spent all day beating a thief. I haven't got any energy left. Do you mind? Go away. So he went to the furnace, like a really hot fire. He said, furnace, furnace, burn, stick, stick won't beat, snake, snake won't bite, queen, queen won't lead, king, king won't talk up to cut me down side so I can get down my. And the furnace said, look, I'm cooking the king's dinner here. Do you mind? Go. So he went to the ocean. He went ocean, ocean, put out furnace, furnace won't burn, stick, stick won't beat, dog. No, stick won't beat, snake, snake won't bite, queen, queen won't lead, king, king won't talk up to the cup down side so I can get down my hole. And the ocean said, look, the tide's high, the fish are jumping, the sun's in the sky, go away. So he went to the elephant. He went elephant, elephant, drink, ocean, ocean won't put out furnace, furnace won't beat, won't burn, stick, stick won't beat, snake, snake won't bite, queen, queen won't lead, king, king won't tell carpenter to cut me that size so I can get down my. And the elephant went, burped really loud. Ooh, I've just drunk a lake. I haven't got room for an ocean. Go away. So he went to the vine. That's what used to grow around. That's what grows around a branch or something like those ropes that Tarzan used to swing on. He said, vine, vine, strangle elephant, elephant won't drink, ocean, ocean won't put out furnace, furnace won't burn, stick, stick won't beat, snake, snake won't bite, queen, queen won't lead, king, king won't tell carpenter to cut me down size so I can get down my. And the vine said, look, I'm stuck to this tree. I couldn't help you even if I wanted to. Go away. So thank you, Louis. I can see you joining. And so anyway, he went for the side. That's like a round knife for cutting the grass with. He said, side, side, cut vine, vine won't strangle, elephant, elephant won't drink, ocean, ocean won't put out furnace, furnace won't burn, stick, stick won't beat, snake, snake won't bite, queen, queen won't lead, king, king won't tell carpenter to cut me down size so I can get down my. Oh, close. Unfortunately for my breath and your patience, the side is always shut. And it said, okay. And the sides began to cut down the vine, vine began to strangle the elephant, elephant began to drink the ocean, ocean began to put out the furnace, furnace began to burn the stick, stick began to beat the snake, snake began to bite the queen, queen began to leave the king, king told the, Carly's got it, carpenter to cut it down to size, and the mouse got down its Oh, well, and I've got to shout downstairs, Willie! I told him to charge the phone. There's only 10% left. Okay, maybe we can. Maybe I think I'll probably finish then on a poem, and then we'll. So. Right, I'll do Monster Hunt. People like Monster Hunt. Okay, so me and my friend Joey thought just for a change that I told you I was tired. Me and my friend Joey thought just for a change that we go monster hunting on the monstrous mountain range. Joey said we'll need supplies. That is what I think. So we packed some peanut butter sandwiches and cans of fizzy drink. Well, Joey had a BMX and I had a mountain bike. We went as far as we could on those, and then we had to hike. We'd not gone far up the mountain when Joey called, "Look over there. It's the barbless, razorless monster, the one that's all covered in hair." Well, we went a few steps closer. The monster let out a roar. Unmute yourselves and roar. Louder than that.
No.
You can't scare us, said Joey. That stuff doesn't work anymore. Then the excessively hairy monster with enormous hairy head called us over to a rock, and this is what she said. "If you come monster hunting, then I'll put up a fight. I'll gnash my teeth and throw some stones and roar with all my might. But I suspect that's not your wish, that you only want to know if monsters really do exist and how tall do they grow and are there many different sorts and where do they all live? Well, there's answers to your questions that I'm prepared to give, providing that you promise me you come with good intentions. After all, we've been around for quite some time without your intervention. That means poking your nose. No problem, answers Joey. That is understood. Now, why don't you tell all your friends we're really very good and we don't want to upset them or ruin their routine. But having come all this way for a monstrous display, you're the only one we've seen. Now, the excessively hairy monster put a finger each side of its teeth and let out an ear-piercing whistle that made the ground tremble beneath me and my friend Joey so much that even she looked perturbed, that's frightened. And then for each side of the mountain came the loudest noise we'd ever heard. And they came with a rumble and tumble, and they came with a crunch, a gobble and munch, and they came with a hubbing and puffing, and they came with a crashing and crunch. And some of them had 6 heads, and some of them only had 2, and some of them were purple, and some were pink and blue, and some had hair on the palm of their hands, and one had hair on its nose, and one was as bald as the day it was born, and one of them seemed to glow. And when they came up to the rock of the hairiest of them all, they were more than a little curious as to why on earth she called so many of the mountain's monsters in the middle of working day, and what could be the kind of game she'd invite them all to play. "I won't keep you long," she whispered, "but I've a sight that's really worth seeing. You might not have seen them around these parts before, but this is a human being. And there is another, though they're not fully grown. I think they're wondrously strange, and by far the most curious creatures to be found on this mountain range." Then Joey pulled out our sandwiches and offered them around. And the monsters and us sat down and offered them around, and the monsters and us sat down, and we had to agree as we munched our lunch, although mountains have their attractions, we'd best cycle home, leaving monsters alone, trying to work out our human reactions. Well, thank you very much. Before this phone dies and I'm unable to broadcast anymore, thank you very much for listening. We're here in the World Storytelling Cafe. I'm just going to look to see what's coming up, if I can find anything. Yes, I'm sure I can. So I want to go on to oh, come on now, everybody. Yeah, so I have a schedule here And if I can get it before, here we are, February, March the 3rd, Michael Kerrins, who was over here for the festival, he's on Friday, but before that, so he's next Friday's Children's Teller, but before that, this Sunday, I think it's this Sunday. No, it's not. It's I forget that. It's nothing this Sunday, but Tuesday is our Young International Tellers, and that's at 5 o'clock UK time. And then we have young storytellers under the age of 25 from all around the world. And then Friday, Michael Currens, 6 o'clock at the same time. Meanwhile, thank you very much for listening. Have a good swim, Louis.
Thank you, John.
You're in Brighton. Okay. Hi, Carly. You're in Brighton. So you got back from New York City, and Norman's actually got stuck in New York City or somewhere on the way back, and or didn't get stuck in New York City. Had his plane diverted. And here in Morocco, I should be back in the UK tomorrow, in the chilled UK. But meanwhile, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Good night, good afternoon, wherever you are in this big wide world.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank-
Bye, John.
Bye.
Safe
Shout
journey
bye.
tomorrow.
Bye from the cafe.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Shout goodbye from the cafe. Bye.
No.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Right. Let me try and find. Okay. Waleed.